The one that we most often hear about is Zeus. And in Europe, they'll say his name is Zeus, which is fun. Kind of sounds like Seuss, like Dr. Seuss. He's the king. How did he get to be king? He and his three brothers, two brothers, Poseidon and Hades, all drew straws to see who would be able to claim parts of the universe. Zeus, because he's a jerk, probably cheated and pulled the biggest straw. And he says, "Well, I'm going to take the sky." So he's the god of the sky. He's the controls lightning, thunder. He also has a lot of kids. A real lot of kids. He has kids with other gods and with other goddesses. He has kids with lots of humans, but he's also married to his sister. Ew. Yeah. He's married to his sister, and they have kids, but then he has kids with lots of other people and lots of other beings. He just likes to have children. He is often symbolized by the lightning bolt, and you might recognize his Roman name, Jupiter. Yes, the largest, brightest planet in the sky is named after the largest, most powerful of the gods, Zeus. His wife, Hera, is his wife and sister. She's the goddess of marriage, fertility, womanhood, and she's the mother of several different deities like Ares, Hephaestus, and others. And she's pretty vengeful towards Zeus's other children, and often makes difficulties for them in their travels. She's often kind of the almost the antagonist in a lot of Greek mythology when they're dealing with heroes like Hercules. Hera keeps trying to mess with him because she's mad because she's Zeus's kid with a mortal. She's often symbolized by birds, often the peacock, which is pretty funny since the peacock is a male bird. Like, the one that she's shown with is male, and she's the goddess of, being female. They probably should have thought that out better. Her Roman name is Juno, hence why the month where we see the most births in the natural world, June, named after her. Poseidon, it's the god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses. Like, that's kind of a weird combo, right? Yeah, earthquakes, storms, the sea, weather. Horses? Kind of doesn't really mesh together. Like, horses don't come out of the sea. Anyway, he's Zeus's brother, and he's usually seen as being really grumpy and swingy with his emotion and very vengeful. And when he's mad, he creates giant storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, all sorts of horrible things that plague the people of Earth. So they always want to try to keep Poseidon happy because they thought bad things would happen if they didn't. And he is symbolized by the trident, which is a 3-tip spear used for hunting whale or very large fish. His Roman name is Neptune, which is when they discovered a planet that had a bluish tint in its light like water, they named it after the god of the sea. How about that? And the last brother, Hades, is the ruler of the underworld, meaning he's in charge of the dead. Yeah, lots of fun. He gets to spend his days hanging out with dead people. He controls the afterlife, and he punishes those who went against the gods for all eternity. So he's got that going for him, which is nice. He married Persephone, not her choice. Basically went to Zeus, is like, hey, I want a wife, and I want the goddess of flowers to be my wife. And he kidnaps her. And that's also Zeus's daughter, who Zeus let him kidnap her. Ew. And it's Zeus's daughter with Demeter, one of his sisters. Ew. And in order to kind of get Demeter to allow things to grow, since she's the goddess of the harvest, and she stops letting things grow, Zeus makes them split their time. So Hades gets Persephone half the year, and Demeter gets her half the year. Hence the seasons. When Demeter's happy and her daughter's back with her, everything's growing. And when she's gone, everything dies. The last two gods were kind of opposites, and that's Athena. Athena is the goddess of wisdom. She's a goddess of warfare, but more strategy. Like, she would be the goddess that a general would pray to before battle. She's also the goddess of art. Fun story. Athena doesn't have a mom. She only has a dad. One day Zeus wakes up. He has a horrible headache, and he goes to Hephaestus like, "Yo, Hephaestus, take your axe and crack my skull." In which Hephaestus is like, "Awesome. You maimed me when I was born. I'd love to do that." He goes, hits his dad in the axe with an axe in the head. Out comes Athena, fully grown and fully dressed, just hanging out in Zeus's head. Mythology. She's often symbolized by a shield and an owl. Fun fact, Athena's owl, Bubo. Fun name to say. She's the patron goddess of Athens, as we talked about, since she's in charge of wisdom. And here we see her opposite force, Ares, the god of war. But not strategy in war, of bloodshed, of mercilessness, of ferocity in the battlefield. And naturally, the Spartans make him their patron god. They love him. The Romans also love him. And they called him Mars. Hence, the planet that had a reddish tint to it, like blood, they named after him. He's symbolized by the color red. Once again, blood. And a spear. If you lived in ancient Greece, you believed that if the Olympians were unhappy with you, they would punish you. So you made frequent sacrifice, and you tried to do things to honor them and keep them happy. If you were the leader of a Greek city-state, you would have temples built in their honor. City-states would choose different patron goddesses or gods. They would hold annual festivals to honor the different Olympians to gain their favor. And they also would go and consult with certain priestesses called the Oracle, who they believed could interpret the will of the gods, could see the future, and that the gods could speak through. And oracles were often consulted for major decisions. Here we see the Oracle of Delphi, who's probably the most famous of the oracles. They would go to her and she'd tell them what visions she would see. And here's an example of Greek temples. Probably the most famous of the temples that was one of the wonders of the ancient world was the Temple of Zeus at Olympia. It was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Unfortunately, it no longer exists and was destroyed. Greek mythology has a lot of influence. We can see countless books from classical times like the Iliad and the Aeneid, and lots of stories from modern times like Percy Jackson. All have connections to Greek mythology. You can look in movies, television shows, comic books, and see the influences of Greek mythology. The DC universe, all like the Justice League characters, are in many ways like a recreation of the pantheon of gods. Mercury, also known as Hermes, the god of speed, the messenger of the gods, is pretty much the Flash. The Flash is based on him. In fact, if you look at early versions of the Flash, he's wearing a helmet and has wings on his shoes. He is Hermes. And here we have Aquaman with the trident. Oh, who is he supposed to be? Poseidon. You could say that Superman's kind of the Zeus figure. You could say that Artemis is symbolized in Wonder Woman. Lots of similarities. In fact, Wonder Woman's name, Diana, is the name of Artemis in the Roman mythology. How about that? We can see planets, stars, constellations, all have names of the Olympian gods. And we can see lots of products and projects named after Olympians, like Nike, the goddess of victory. Yay! Shoes that get you victory, name them after Nike. Or the Apollo projects that sent someone to the moon. So, why do you think the stories of the gods and goddesses of the ancient Greeks have such an enduring legacy? Why are they still relevant today, even though nobody actually worships these gods, or very few people actually do, if any? And which one of the gods, and you can go into one of the ones that I didn't mention, do you find the most intriguing, and why? Look forward to reading your answers. Have a marvelous Tuesday. Bye-bye.